President Trump,
Yeah.
a friend of mine, was given a CR7 shirt, and you wrote on it, to President Donald J. Trump, playing for peace. What did you mean by that?
He's one of the guys that can change or help to change the world.
Well, joining me now is former White House Chief of Staff and Senior Advisor at Bondi Partners, Mick Mulvaney. Mick, thanks for joining me. I want to talk about the government shutdown in a moment, but before we do that, I do want to get your thoughts on this latest trip of Donald Trump through North Asia. You were, of course, there on that famous delegation when Donald Trump met with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. No such meeting this time, but what do you make of the deal that he seems to have cut with Xi Jinping to avert a trade war? Is this peace in our time, or is it more worryingly peace in our time?
Yeah, James, I got to tell you, I was watching the events this week, just expecting him to sort of magically show up at the DMZ again, just like he did back in 2019. Disappointingly, it didn't happen. I'm sort of looking at the deal. I guess if that's the word we can use for it. It's not really an agreement. It's certainly not a formal agreement. It's a détente. Essentially, what's going to happen is the Chinese have agreed not to put limitations on rare earths for the next year. We've agreed to cut back on the tariffs for a period of time. It's sort of a détente. This is I encourage people to look at this sort of similarly to the way we looked at the relationship we had with the Soviet Union back during the Cold War. This is more of a cold peace. And there's now a détente, and they'll end up, trying to continue the conversation. And that's why I think there's tremendous value here. It's not peace in our time. It's not the end of the discussion, but at least it's the beginning of the discussion. And it sounds like things are moving in the right direction. It's always important, James, always important when you've got two leaders like this, that if one of them picks up the phone to call the other one answers the phone. And I think they reaffirmed here on this visit that would happen, that if Trump needs to talk to Xi or vice versa, the communications will continue. I think that's unambiguously a good thing.
That's absolutely a good thing. And it's when there's not communication that real crises can occur. But you've got two very different systems here, and both want to be the dominant superpower. Is this pushing down the road some sort of eventual conflict, or do you think it will just, I know it's a long way to sort of be projecting, but are we looking at decades of kind of hotter and colder Cold War with China, just as we did in the 20th century, see that with the Soviet Union?
There's a school of thought here on the right, especially, that says or believes or at least argues that military confrontation with China is inevitable in the next 10, 15, 20 years. I don't buy it. One of the reasons I sort of like the détente, and I consider it to be a huge success, is that it starts to buy the time to figure out a way to get along, to figure out a way to sort of allow the Chinese to pursue their national interests, allow us to pursue ours without negatively impacting our friends in the larger, say, global economy, global stability, et cetera. Keep in mind, China has become very, very wealthy very, very fast. It is a communist nation, so it doesn't function the way that Australia and the U.S. does. It's not in that first tier of nations. How often have we talked about this? Can you imagine what the world would have said if Australia had kept information about COVID so private like the Chinese did? It would never happen in a democracy. It doesn't happen in first-tier countries, and China's not there yet. But maybe this and other things over the course of the next years, they can get there. So, look, anytime you can put off a trade war, it's a good thing. But anybody who can predict the future is probably just rolling the dice.